Now this is where the fun starts really beginning. So if I pull this back over, the one thing that I want to make sure that you all realize is that we've created a wellness program, we've created participants, we've created activities. Now we've set it in a way that there's somewhat of a nested relationship. I can see here we're done in the background, but I'm just going to continue explaining this just for a little bit. So wellness programs have wellness participants. Wellness participants perform activities, but if you recall, on each one of these we have a wellness program lookup. So at any point in time, we can see who the participants of a wellness program are, as well as each of the activities that have been logged against a wellness program. So what we do now is we've got all of our variables, all of our objects that we want to consider in our corporate wellness. So now we're going to go back to our corporate wellness form page. Now this is where the user interface modifications really become a lot of fun. So if we don't really need the feed, we can actually truly delete it and get rid of that there. Now we don't necessarily need this here either, so we could in theory delete that, but I have a planned use for that here in a second. So we've got our wellness program info, and we just showed a minute ago that we've got participants as well as activities. Well, if we want to see those on the screen, we should probably create an area for it to exist. So we're going to drag a new area onto the screen here, and we can drag over our one column, just leave that right there. And what we're going to do now is bring over an expanded list. So this expanded list is going to give us the ability to not only add but also see new wellness program participants, and we can really play with the layout here. So expanded list, we're going to change this to WP participants just for the sake of ease here. We can play around with the title color if we wanted to, which just changes the text, but we can just set it to be just solid black. We can get rid of spacing if we'd like, which I don't necessarily want it in here. So we've got here, now we're going to define what object are we going to look at. So here we've got our WP participants, and it lets us know that there is a form page that exists, and how do we want to filter what shows up in the list. Well, I want to see only wellness program participants for the wellness that are connected to this wellness program. And we're going to make sure that the ID of the corporate wellness program is equal to the wellness program value or lookup that we created in our table. And if you're having challenges reading this on your monitor layout, you have the ability of pulling this out and getting a little bit more screen real estate. So here's a little bit of a better example of what I'm connecting. So that's what I've got for right now. I don't need to filter this any more than that. I don't want the list to be editable, but I do want columns that are more in line with what I want to see. So I actually want to see the employee, the date that they were enrolled, and that's really it. And this other one, this name for a wellness program participants, we're not really using it. So we can just do that. And now we've got a simple way of seeing the wellness program participants as well as when they were enrolled. Cool. Now we have buttons here, and if we don't set buttons, they don't necessarily do anything. So we're going to create a button here that allows us to very easily add a new wellness program participant to this wellness program. And to do that, we need to simply define where are we creating a new record. So here we're going to type WP participants, and again this tells me what I've got here. as far as things that are already set up. So I've got one form page. Great. Now it gives me the option to predefine some of the values that should get set for the new wellness program participant. Well, I'm adding participants that are employees to a corporate wellness program. It would stand to reason that I should automatically define the wellness, WP participant field of wellness program equal to my wellness program ID. And by doing that, I can now quickly add from my wellness program page a new participant, and it's automatically going to define the wellness program for me, so I can automatically have one less thing that I have to worry about when I'm creating new records, and I can just focus on the employee's name and when they were enrolled in the program. Cool beans. So we've got wellness program participants, and now we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to make sure that we have the ability of seeing the activities that are logged against this particular wellness program. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to drag a new area. We're going to expand this area, and we're going to add this right here. And notice this time I didn't actually drag over a column. I don't always have to do that. The system's pretty intuitive in just knowing what to do. But as you can see here, sometimes it's a little bit finicky if you drag the wrong thing over. So layout elements is a little bit different than actual components. So I'm actually just going to get rid of this and do it the right way. There we go. That looks a little bit more like what I'm expecting to see. Okay, so here we will click on, this here. We'll do wellness activities and expand this back out so we can play around with the buttons and such. So here we are going to get rid of spacing yet again, because quite honestly, the white space that does exist will ultimately just resolve itself. But I'm also minimizing space because I do have plans for embedding other things directly on this wellness program. So for now, we're going to leave it there. Wellness activity. We are going to do the same thing. So we're going to allow the ease of creating a new wellness activity. And we are going to set the wellness program of that activity equal to the corporate wellness program's ID. And if we wanted to set more fields, we absolutely can. But for right now, I'm just going to keep it simple. The data import that I showed you a little bit ago is what I'm going to use to make populating a lot of this very easy. Okay, so here I've got button options and things that I want to do to set this up. Now I'm going to come here and we're going to look at wellness activities, where the list is filtered by the corporate wellness program, and the wellness program ID is equal to the wellness program. And again, I'm just going to drag this over so you can see I'm not, well, I was going to say I'm not crazy, but I'm not crazier than normal. Anywho, moving on. Again, we don't want to make this list editable, so we'll untoggle that. We just want a quick ability for someone to come to a wellness program, maybe an HR administrator or someone that's an actual administrator of this program, and give them the ability to modify or quickly add rather a new wellness activity to the program. Okay, so that's all we needed to do here, and we've already set this here. Now the last thing we're going to do is set columns. So here we're going to have the activity type, distance, duration, employee, and maybe activity date. We'll do all of those, and we'll get rid of the activity name because we really don't necessarily care about that. I would drag the employee over. Maybe we don't need all that room for either of these. We won't know until we finally get some data in here. And again, if I get rid of this, you can see I've got a lot more space to play with. So I'm just going to modify that and that. Pull this maybe here. Yeah, sure, why not? And we're going to automatically sort this descending. So you can actually click on these and it will define how things are sorted. Okay, so there's that. Good to go. And I'm going to save. And now we have effectively created a means of creating a corporate wellness program, adding participants to it and allowing those participants to add activities to it. Alrighty, so we've got that. And we can do some more stuff here if we really wanted to, but if you recall this right here, we have the ability of adding some additional stuff in here. And looking at these metrics, I mean, this is really just too good not to see what these things are. And the charts are honestly what really give the screen quite a bit of a pop. So here we're going to, or we could pull this up and set that directly in here. But before I do that, I'm going to first drag a, or maybe not. This is being a little bit temperamental, which that's okay. We'll just get rid of that. Yeah. Doesn't like me. That's okay. Drag a new area, add 4 columns, and that is how you establish dominance over the UI. So here we go, chart number 1. This absolutely looks like it's doing nothing, and that's okay. Because first thing we have to do is this icon just means that the chart hasn't been set up. So first thing we're going to do is let's calculate if we want to have a really quick indicator. So we've got all of our lists set up, but if we arrive to a wellness program and at a very quick glance, we want to see maybe how many people are participating in this corporate wellness program. Perhaps we want to see how long the company's been engaged in it, or how the duration of exercises or activities that people have logged. We can do all of this and create them as charts directly on the page. So here we're going to put in number of participating, maybe just participants. We'll go that rate. And here we're going to look at WP, participants. And we're going to count where the wellness program is equal to, or actually that's not what we'll do. We'll get rid of that. Because we're going to do a little bit different. We're actually going to use this down here. So connect wellness participants object with a corporate by what field. So basically what I was just about to do, which was show me every account of all of the employees that are participating in the wellness program. So now that we've done that, number is 0, that's expected. And if we want to get fancy with our formatting, we can say X number of employees are participating. We can set the size of the font, and there we go. Number of participants there. Click Save. And again, it looks a little bit strange because it's kind of crammed a little bit, but there we've got that. So there's the number of employees participating in this wellness program. We're going to do the same thing here. And we can probably give it a different color if we want to. So let's set up this chart. And we'll do total duration. And we'll give it a dark green color instead. Object, wellness, activity. We're going to sum the duration. Just like that. Wellness activity, good to go. Total minutes. Actually, that's probably a little bit redundant. Do that. Okay, same thing. Large wellness activity. Save that. All right, so there's our duration. Now let's do one more. Let's do distance. And this one we'll make a little bit different. That there. Wellness activity. Some column distance. And I'm noticing one thing that I saw here that I didn't in the other, so let's get this set. Let's do this, 2 digits, miles. Cool. Large, save that. And one thing I did notice is that if I go back here, I did not get what I expected, which was setup chart, wellness activity sum. See this, how to associate with page data. So that did not set up the way that I had intended it to. So I don't want to take a chance. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to recreate it. Set up the chart. Select, wellness program. Oh, haha, just kidding. Wellness activity. Now we can do wellness program. Going to sum the duration. Okay, just quickly do duration. I'll do, yeah, why not? Let's make it really obnoxiously colorful, which is your prerogative as someone building your own application. 2 minutes, and it's a whole number, so we'll leave it like that, and ta-da. Now we've got our items, and we also have room for one more. If we ever expand this to our later version where we are ultimately also, maybe we want to calculate the total number of dollars that this wellness program has ultimately awarded as possibly a measure of total TTC, total compensation. Yeah, so we've got this, got that, and we're good to go. Alrighty. So now what we're going to do after this gets done, we are going to go create a new wellness program, and we're going to call it Work from Home Wellness. Okay, so this is all done now. We're good. We are not making any more changes to our page as of right now, so we're just going to go ahead and close that. And if we go back to our home page, we're going to give this a refresh. That way, every change that we've made effectively is now going to show in the system. So we added 3 things. Corporate wellness program, which you can see here. We've also added WP participants and wellness activity. Okay, so we're going to go here. Here is our list of corporate wellness programs, and what we're looking at here is that list page that we were given whenever we created our corporate wellness program. Now, we didn't actually go in and modify it. Honestly, we really don't need to. Modifying a list page is pretty straightforward. This is honestly a little bit overkill in my opinion. It gives you far more information than you really need to see. So we're just going to keep this really simple, and we will click the plus sign. we want to see the start date, the end date, and that's really all we want in addition to that. So we've got the program name. Don't really care about when it was created or who created it. Okay, so now we are good to go. We've got our start and end dates. Huzzah! And we can set the start date to show by the most recent. So if we click the new button, what we should expect to see here is our handy dandy little page that we created. So now that we've got our items here, it will give us, every time this page gets refreshed, an updated tabulation of total number of participants, how many total minutes they've logged activities within the system, as well as the total distance. So looking pretty good. Now I'm going to keep this very simple. Just going to copy work from home wellness. We're going to set this to start the end of last year, and let's run it through the 31st. Cool. Encourage employees to get more active from a hybrid work from home environment and in office setting. And purpose, we don't necessarily have a purpose in this case. We can always add to it, which I can show you here in a little bit too. But for right now, that's really all we want. We don't have any participants. We don't have any wellness activities. So we're just going to save this. And now we have a work from home wellness program. And with all the data that we just put in. Not too mind-blowingly outstanding, but still a step in the right direction. Now, we have the next step of adding employees to the list of participants. So if we click the plus sign, we will add myself, and we're going to enroll me in the program whenever it started. Cool. Now we've got an employee. I'm also going to add one more. We'll add Liz, and we'll set her to start on the 2nd. Cool beans. So save that. And if we now go out of our record and go back into it, which is a little bit faster, you can see that our indicator now shows 2 employees. If I click on that number, I get a list, but this list doesn't tell me anything. Well, just like with all of the other items that we have the ability of changing the list, we can also change what shows here. So show me the employee and the date that they were enrolled, and get rid of this. This has no value to me whatsoever, but these things do. Great, now I've got that. Duration, same thing here. Maybe I want a little bit more info. Maybe I want to see the employee and the date that they log their activity. So here, employee, the name of the activity we really don't care about. The date that they logged it. Maybe we care about the type. What type of activity? What were they doing? Who did it? What did they do? When did they do it? And how long did they actually exercise? Okay. And if we want to go ahead and add distance on here, we can do that too. We've got plenty of real estate for this. Okay. We click on this. Notice that this is already set because this object is the exact same as the duration object. So those are going to share lists that are showing there. Okay. So we've got those enrolled. We can see when they were enrolled. Now we want to go ahead and pre-populate our database with some values. Now, we don't have activity types defined in the system, but if we wanted to do that, we absolutely could. And that requires us to go to lookups. And this is where we can manually change it. So here, let's search for wellness, and here you can see we've got wellness activities, the types, and the wellness program purpose. So as an example, I had some of these somewhat called out to the right, which I didn't scroll over. So if I've got purpose, maybe it's a contest, and maybe we are trying to incentivize them by giving them a benefit reduction to something like, I don't know, their health insurance premium. Maybe the company will pay a little bit more if the employee is investing in their own health. The company wants to invest in the employee as well. So kind of doubling up on the goodness that comes along with moving more. Okay, and I promise we're almost done. So I'm just going to give you an example here. So contest and benefit discount. Cool. All right, and just like that, and to show you how that works, we're now going to go back to the corporate wellness program, work from home wellness, and the purpose now has values. Huzzah! One more thing done.